I had dinner there for my sixth time. They started just knowing like, oh, you want this burger. Cause if I like food, I'll just go to the same place all the time. Cause I just eat and run, cause I just want to walk. And so as I was paying, I was just like, I asked, why Route 66? And she goes, oh, cause it's a very famous American highway. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm from there. And she was like, oh, and I was like, why did you name it that? And she goes, because Americans recognize it. With the tourists that come and see AO, they'll stop by here because it's a place it's a name they recognize. And so I was like, have you ever been there? Have you ever traveled it? She goes, no, none of them have. They just picked a spot out of the US that was famous and went, that's the name of our restaurant.
Welcome to the Where Have You Been podcast. I'm your host, Bill Ream, and each week on the pod, I have conversations with incredible guests from all walks of life. Expect to hear funny, crazy, emotional, life-changing, and even sometimes life-threatening stories and experiences that will entertain and inspire you. As always, I appreciate your likes, subscriptions, ratings, and reviews wherever you are listening. It doesn't sound like much, but it truly helps the pod get to the ears of more people who may enjoy it. And check out the website, whybpodcast.com, for links to the socials where you can find pictures from the guests and their stories, and also buy merch if you're so inclined. Now let's get to this week's episode. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Where Have You Been podcast. Where have you been? Jeez, what's taking you so long? I'm your host, Bill Ream, as always, and once again, this is the third time ever on the Where Have You Been podcast that we have a returning guest. And this one is my second ever guest on the podcast. I have one of my best friends in the world, Derek, back on the show. Welcome back, Derek. And if you wouldn't mind, please telling the listeners, for those of you who don't remember or haven't listened to episodes 2 and 3, it was a two-parter, spoiler alert, who are you?
Name is Derek Cole, live in LA, and I do graphic arts for film and television.
What does graphic arts mean? Obviously, it's video, but what do you actually do?
I probably shouldn't call it graphic arts necessarily. I do augmented reality, which means I put animation into a scene so that way the directors and the producers or whoever that want to see it can see something that doesn't exist on the monitor. And we use camera tracking's hardware and software to track the camera's position through 3D space and while it's on the set. So that way you get the idea of scale and it looks like it's actually in the shot, but only on the monitor, of course.
So it's sort of a preview of what the final edit could look like?
It's kind of final. It's basically their previs, which is just an animated storyboard, and then I remove certain elements from that and we put it into the actual scene, tracking the camera's position. So that way, if it's a 40-foot gorilla that's going to be in the shot, obviously we didn't hire a 40-foot gorilla, so I'm going to put it into the shot. So that way you'll know how big a 40-foot gorilla is at 100 feet away in that location, and make it look like it's on the ground. So that way now the director can have the camera point up and look at the gorilla's face and even zoom in on it.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think there's only 2 40-foot gorillas left working, and they're really expensive.
They're going extinct. It's crazy, but
yeah, they're charged.
Got to save those 40-foot gorillas.
A lot of bananas. It's a 40-foot gorilla. So most everything you've done has been a bunch of B stuff, right? Nothing anyone would see.
Sure. Yeah. Been quite a bit. Yeah. I've worked on Star Wars for 5 years. Just got out of a movie, which we're going to talk about because that was over in the UK. And I also work at the tennis channel doing AR elements for tennis, which is usually advertising.
Who's your favorite tennis player?
I'm going to go with the only name I know, and that is a guy named Sinner. I think he's... Yes, right? That's a player, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Because we're laughing, Bill is the only person that knows that I don't know squat about sports, or I don't know nothing about sports.
Yeah, but hey, the paycheck's there, and the job is the job, no matter what you're filming, right? So
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's if it's sports, we do sports. If it's a commercial, we'll do the commercial. But our bread and butter so far has been film.
yeah, I did see the 40-foot gorilla actually at that one tennis tournament you were at. That was you.
Yeah, it was me.
That was
That
you.
was me. That's what I do. I put
So
in I put in whatever you want.
40-foot gorillas on a tennis court. So before I get too far into the weeds here, I always like to let my guests tell people where they can be found. Not, I don't mean your address. I mean, like what socials do you have? Do you have a website people can look up to find out more about you and your work?
I do not have a website. I'm posted on other places' websites like Zeiss, which is a lens company, and the Isley Company, which is a people that I work with on most films. Other than that, YouTube or IMDb, International Movie Database.
And what do they look up on YouTube to find you?
Just my name, Derek Cole, and then maybe type director after that, and that's it.
And there's some stuff out there with Little Guy Entertainment, isn't there?
There's some stuff out there, yeah, but I don't have the website anymore. I just do a Venmo or Venmo.
Okay.
Yeah, I do a Vimeo.
Yeah, we're not going to solicit for donations.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll take anybody's Venmo if they really want, but but mostly it's just like I ended up sending people videos as opposed to them having to try to find it, because now it's all about contact. So you send over the Vimeos and they can watch the things that I've done, stuff like that.
Very cool. And you've done your own stuff too, right? And
Oh yeah,
you've had stuff that's been out there. I remember the day that I think one of your first films that went like worldwide or nationwide at least, and you could get them in Redbox. Does anyone remember Redbox? Is that still a thing?
I I don't know. Yes, it is. It's at my Ralph's, actually, at the grocery store. They still have a red box. But after 2020, most of that stuff died because nobody was allowed to touch them, because of COVID and all that crap. But but it was at Family Video, which was over on your side of the states and up in Canada, and it was in Blockbuster before that took a dump. But it was also in Netflix and Hulu and the rest of that, and it was called An American Ghost Story.
Yeah, and you can still find it out there.
Yeah, it's still out there. I still get paid every 3 months. It's
Nice.
still out there. It's still doing stuff. So, if you look up An American Ghost Story, that's my film. That's why I said if you go to YouTube, you look up Derek Cole director, and I'm usually the first one that's up there, and that's has all of my videos and stuff like that.
And not a spoiler of any kind or whatever, but you are working on another project now, right?
Yes, I'm working on a short film that will promote a new feature film. So it's a short version of the feature length that me and my buddy Joe Patro are working on together, trying to get that film made. But the short film we're making ourselves, but the feature film is a little bit more ambitious. And I usually pay for all my own movies, but I would like other people to pay for it. I think that'd be more fun.
And so what is your Venmo? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I know I asked you the first time around, but and you don't have to go into any great length with it or anything, but just as kind of a recap so people at least have a baseline for you. So
Sure.
transitioning into the travel portion of your life, when was that a thing for you? How did that become a thing, growing up? I know it was mostly a lot of local travel, but you tell me, you tell us.
Yeah. Well, when I was just a boy. No, when I was younger, me and my best friend Steve Ryder we used to just travel around just locally on our bikes and stuff like that, and just seeing new places and different places is really what caught me. And then once I moved out here, I started working in television, and all of a sudden I could, they were flying me all over the United States and Canada and Mexico, doing different shows. And then it really solidified of how much I enjoy traveling. I just like seeing new places. Most people like going to different countries for food. I've never been a food guy, but I just like seeing the different areas. It's a big world. As small as it is, it's still pretty damn big, and there's a lot to see, and it's a lot of fun getting to see all this stuff, especially when you don't pay for it and you get paid to do it. That's a
Yeah,
lot more fun.
you told some of the most incredible stories in the first go around that we had. I I'm being I didn't ever mention this out loud to the masses to hear, but I honestly, when we first had the idea to do it together, I was a little bit nervous that we weren't going to go like the length of a normal episode because I just I guess I just didn't know the extent of the traveling that you had done outside of movie stuff, just like localish, whether it was being out there in LA or being back home in Western New
Oh
York.
yeah.
And I mean, you told some incredible stories about Australia, about being in South America, about uh, so many different things in the States and Vegas. Where we ended up going 2 episodes. We talked for, I think it was well over 2.5 hours, and
Yeah,
I
that's
couldn't do
long.
it all in one. It was absolutely nuts. Where else did you talk about? Vancouver. I'm just thinking back. I haven't even listened to the episode in months and
Toronto,
months.
Montreal.
Toronto, Montreal. That's right.
Yeah, it was a lot of Canada, a lot of US, but the US stuff, I was really trying to, tell anybody who's listening or cares that if you enjoy traveling, some of the best travel is right in your own backyard, like right around your own neighborhood. You can find so many neat things. And
Oh yeah. You talked about Northern California.
yeah, Northern
Lot.
California is amazing. There's there's just so many cool places across the US to go and see, even if it's, because everyone just kind of goes straight for the, when if they're going to travel, it's always like it's got to be something epic, like I don't know, like the Chrysler Building or something very specific, or they have to go and see the Eiffel Tower or something like that. And
Yeah. Nobody
it's like,
says, "Hey, the Chrysler Building is on my list this year."
yeah, well, you know what I
But
mean. And it's just the specific thing that everyone, there's always those places everybody wants to see, and there's so many amazing things just in between us that are talking right now. Like the small towns that you can drive through and go into and meet some just very delightful people, and in the craziest of little restaurants and all that kind of stuff, or the small weird towns that you run into. Somewhere out here I ended up running into, we were riding our motorcycles around, and me and Steve, and we ended up in a town that was like dedicated for some reason to like 1880, and it was small, it was only the length of a street, but it all looked like a western. It was just super weird and bizarre, and I don't even know how to get back to it because it was one of those trips that you just kind of go in all directions forever and with no real destination in mind. And we ended up on this little road that was kind of blocked off, and they were, I don't know if it was a celebration, but it was all looked like old western stuff. And for some reason I just thought that was really really cool, that it was right there, and it's somewhere around here. I don't know where, and I haven't looked for it. I kind of like the element of surprise of running into it. And
yeah, that's very cool.
yeah, I like stuff like that. I think that kind of stuff is very unique, and it's what this, makes America so much fun in the first place, is people are just allowed to do things. And so you just, you go into these and they're not tourist spots. You just end up in this weird, beautiful little city or town, even if it's a really small town, that's just unique to the area that you're at.
Yeah, very cool. I would highly encourage if anyone listens to this episode and whether you enjoy it or not, I would still highly encourage you to go back and listen to episode 2 and 3, which again 2-parter. Just it was just some really cool stories and a lot of stuff involving your work with TV and film, and
Oh,
we're not going to go over those again because why would we? But
exactly. Yeah.
they
I'll
were
try not to do that.
so I'm telling you, such incredible stories, like from your perspective, which is very cool. So, but let's do this then. So my
Yeah.
question typically at this point is, where have you been? But I'm going to ask you, Derek Cole, where have you been since we last spoke, which was about, I don't know, 14 months ago. I'm guessing something like that.
Yeah. It's been about that. Um, I Well, the first place I went, me and Steve again went up the PCH. So the PCH is the Pacific Coast Highway out here in California, and that was a hell of a trip. It was amazing. just me and Steve riding up and down. We actually spent the night out, and so we could keep going because it's a very long highway. It's gorgeous views of the ocean and cliff sides. It's there's really nothing like it, and it's right here. It's in the United States, and it's some of the prettiest places I've ever been. And I've done the trip before several times, but it was kind of nice just going back 'cause it's been a good decade or more since the last time we went up it, which is weird because it's right around the corner. I mean, I could be there in 2 hours, but so that's where it started, and that was just right before I left to go to the United Kingdom. Went over to London to do a new Star Wars movie. So which was fantastic because I've always wanted to work at Pinewood Studios. Pinewood Studios, for anybody that doesn't know, is like one of the oldest studios that they've shot almost every movie that you know of was most likely shot over there. A lot of the ones from our childhood, like Aliens and all that, like I actually got to prep cameras in the same stage that they shot the Aliens scene where they're on the Sulaco, the ship. I was prepping cameras in that same stage, and to me that was wild. But I'm a big movie buff, so for me that was excellent. It was unbelievable. So started off at Pinewood Studios, and but then we went down and saw. I got to see London, all of London. I walked all over it. Went and saw the Shakespeare place, his house, which is actually a rebuild and a replica after the London fires, but it was still really cool being there. Um, but yeah, London was one of my favorites. Went under the London Bridge, but then do you just want me to list them off, or?
That's completely up to you. If you wanted to, I mean, you can go. We can go from one place to another, and if you want
Okay.
to tell stories from the different places that you did, and then we can go from one to the next. It doesn't matter to me. Or you can list off real quick and then go back. Whatever you'd like to.
Well, first I'll just list them off. I was over in London for over a month on and off, and then after that I came back, then did a tennis thing and went out to the Australian Open. So I was back in Australia, but this time over in Melbourne, and then I ended up doing the Madrid Open, which is in Madrid, Spain, and then the Rome Open in obviously Rome, and then Roland Garros in Paris. So those are the places that I was since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, and you just got back. What? Just this
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Okay.
From France.
Yeah, and we're recording Friday night. This comes out in about 27 hours. So
Yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty. It's interesting. London was one of my favorite places only because, again, I'm just a huge movie guy, and being at Pinewood was, to me, there was nothing like it. It was just really cool seeing the history of that place. And we were shooting inside and outside, and it's like every place that I was stepping in, it's like this, some giant movie that everybody knows was shot here, and for me that was epic. It was just really cool. It's not like the sets are there, but it's the idea that this is where it was shot. What for me was spectacular. But London itself, the city, I loved that place. I really enjoyed it. We stayed out in a place called Gerrard's Cross, which was a nice little part of town. It was about a 20-minute train ride from London. So, but their transit system out there is impeccable, expensive, but really, really well done. But it was cool getting to go back and forth and go see did all the general tourist stuff that you should do. Like we saw the Abbey Road. We did an actual day of just touring castles. So we went to
castles are so cool.
Castles are amazing, and I wanted to find the ones that weren't. We went to what's the big one? I'm completely blanking.
I haven't been to London, so I don't know.
It's their biggest castle, the West. Crap.
Does it end in Shire?
No, that would be Lord of the Rings. It was. It was. I can't.
And I was just in New Zealand, so
yeah. So that's perfect. Yeah, that would be the Shire. But no, this was. Oh my God, I can't remember the name, but anyway, it's where the all the king and queen stuff still happens over there. It's the castle that's still occupied, but it's where Henry VIII and all those people were, and
Oh,
Elizabeth, and
it's
some
it's
reason
not like
completely.
Westminster or something. That's a
Yeah,
different
it's that
thing.
one,
Is it?
Westminster. Jeez, and yeah, that's the one. And we went there first and did a big tour of that place and walked through it. It was stunning. I can't believe how big a place can be. They had a table in there that seats like 150 people. I don't even know 150 people. And it was, I mean, it's just massive. And, but that was kind of neat, but it felt very touristy. And so, because obviously it is, but then after that, I was like, let's try to find some places that are just out. Like, I like the ones where you're kind of walking around in some dude's backyard and there's a castle out there for some damn reason. And it's just ruins. And we ended up finding about four of them. And they'd all have a little plaque or something like that, kind of talking about it, but there was no one there. And it's just this castle, the pillars in the air and the whole thing. It was fantastic just getting to see those places that are like, some of them are like 1,200 years old. And it turns out there was some kind of big fight that happened and everybody was killed and the place was abandoned. And now it just sits, what's left of it just sits there. And I really liked finding those places more than like the Westminster Abbey where it's like, or where you would just end up getting, like they have a gift shop in the end of it, yeah. And you'd go and like I ended up buying, it was about to rain, so I bought an umbrella. What I didn't know about the umbrellas, I was like, oh yeah, it's from the castle. And I opened it up and the entire inside is a British flag. So everywhere I open that thing, everyone's like, oh, that guy's from England. And
They didn't think that.
and not if they talk to me, but when they first, it just looked like I was promoting the hell out of Britain, and it's like I didn't know, and but whatever.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. It was just one of those things. Like I didn't really need, a giant flag inside of my umbrella, but whatever, it was cool. But yeah, and we did like the Sherlock Holmes Museum, went to the Sherlock Holmes house, stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. Um, tried to travel a lot of the tube just to kind of see it, and I know like some of Harry Potter was shot there, so we actually went up to the place that Harry Potter was shot, the college that's up there. That was really cool. Yeah, it was a hell of a trip, but you know, I don't really know what else to say about it.
So when you're walking around and stuff like that, like I know you do a lot of walking and a lot of walking probably on your own, but I know in some
Oh yeah,
places
a lot.
you've also like kind of partnered up with somebody who you got along with really well, whatever. Like when you're talking about going to all these different places, are you by yourself like for all of these, or do you have other people that you're working with that have kind of gone with you?
For this, for when I was in London, I would walk around with my team of graphics guys that I was with, the Isley company that I was talking about. So it'd be like me, Christian, OJ, Ben, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, if there is another guy and they listen to this, they're going to be very disappointed.
Oh, Pokey.
Okay,
I knew there was another person, and I was just like, my
Cookie
God.
is going to be very upset.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be very upset. And no, but Pokey's actually an amazing person too. So it's,
That
yeah, I'm
just
getting
went
old.
for it.
He wants, I'm just getting old. But no, he's a great dude. But we just all went to all of these separate castles. But yeah, me and Ben sometimes, like I've known Ben for a while. He's been kind of my partner in crime when it comes to camera tracking. We went walking off and explored some of the stuff that we've always wanted to see about London. And we really just walked the entirety of London until, from one side to the other, and then tried to do, like north to south and then east to west. But yeah, I do a lot of walking. We went and saw the other castle, watched the guards change and stuff like that. And then went into like the oldest library that we could find. And what I loved about London is every turn was something crazy. That's what I really
That's what I was going to
really.
ask you was like, even just walking, like what kind of things did you discover or run into that kind of surprised you or
Oh man, there's that play, and there was a lot of places that you would just walk. I don't know what it's there for, but it would just be like you would just walk into a certain part, and so it's like a giant open square with just statues surrounding it. It seemed very old. It might not be. I don't know. It was just very cool to run into. And then we also did a bus tour, which lasted for, I mean, you can sit on it pretty much all day and only pay one fee. And we just drove around and got to see a bunch of stuff that way because we were just trying to take as much in as we possibly could.
was it one
So
of
it's
those
like,
double deckers?
yeah, yeah. And we went, of course, on the top deck, so that way we were out in the open and doing the taking the photos out of it and doing the regular tourist thing. It was a lot of fun, but I generally like to try not to just do the tourist thing, but everything there seemed to be a tourist destination. Every place was packed. And and there's just gift shops everywhere selling you like the miniature Big Bens and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun just getting to walk around and explore the place. I'm trying to think of some of the unique stuff that we would see, but like that old library was really cool. I don't know what it was called. Ben knew what it was, and he wanted to go and see it, and I was just there I just wanted to walk. So I was like, let's see as much as we can, and it was, I think it was like 5 stories tall, and it was gorgeous.
There was
But
only
it's
five
just,
stories in the entire library.
I think there was, yeah, that's it. There was 5 books.
Five
It was, yeah, five
big
huge
stories.
books. Yeah, they were really big, but the letters were big and they were pop up, so it was kind of cool. But it was really cool getting to see that kind of just that kind of stuff. Most of the time, I was just kind of awestruck from just how massive everything felt. Like it felt like we were on the subway forever, and then you'd get off and you'd go up, and it was just more buildings for forever. And it was really neat. It was really cool. It's something that you really just got to experience it for yourself. You just kind of got to walk around and see the places that all the different shops of all the stuff that they're selling, mm, and talk to the people. Like we tried to stop in old pubs and get whatever their local cuisine was. Randomly, we ended up finding one of the oldest pubs in all of London because one of the guys that I work with, his name is Christian. He just wanted to take the rental car out and just go for a small drive, and he ended up on one of those tiny roads, but somehow is still meant for cars going in both directions, and ended up at this pub, and it turned out to be one of the oldest pubs there. So we all went and got dinner there, and they
Did you get
served
fish
some
and chips?
weird. I did,
Nice.
and yeah, had to get fish and chips because they were like, "Oh, it's a classic cuisine." So I was like, "Sure, let's have that." And I'm not a big fish fan, but it was good.
Did you have beans on toast?
No, I'm not a psycho, and as I've said before, I'm not a foodie. So like the local cuisine, I could care less. I just want to see stuff. I'm fine if I eat a burger at every place. I'll
They
eat the
also
same
have
forever.
they also have some sort of a dessert there, which people laugh and they joke that food in like England is bland and
It's not very good.
and,
It's
and
not great.
even and even people from there will admit it. Like this,
Yeah.
our food is not that great, except for the
Yeah.
fish and chips can be really good. But besides it,
Yes.
but they have a dessert, and it's escaping me what it's called right now. Maybe you know,
Yeah.
but it.
I assure you, I don't.
Okay, great. Somebody throw me a comment on one of my places that you listen. I can't think
Yeah.
of it off the top of my head.
Because some
But not
people like they look for that kind of stuff. They'll go to and try to get that. Oh, I heard it was great here, and the only thing that every place that we would stop at, they'd always recommend to me the fish and chips, and most of the time I was like, nah. I wanted to wait until it was some place that just had a bit more history, even though everything there feels like it has history. We were eating at a pub and it said established in like 1578. And I was like, holy crap, this pub is twice as old as my whole country, and it's just this tiny little hole in the wall pub. But it
It's
was it was
crazy.
really cool. And then they were like, "Oh, the fish and chips." I was like, "Nah, not yet. I don't feel like it's old enough." So instead I had a burger. And then we found this 900 and some year old pub that Christian ended up just stumbling upon. And we went up there, and then out there I was like, I'll have the fish and chips, because everything else was like, oh yeah, lamb eyes or something like that. I was like, ugh, what? Like a lot of weird food, and
Did you
I
try
don't do well with weird food.
spotted dick?
But no,
Didn't even see spotted dick? Uh,
don't even know what that is. No,
that's a thing there. And sticky
it
toffee
is
pudding was what I was thinking of.
sticky toffee pudding. I did hear
It
I
is
did hear that,
supposed to be pretty
but
fantastic.
I'm sure someone would agree. But I wouldn't eat anything with that name.
Sticky toffee pudding, that's not bad.
Yeah, sticky. I don't know.
I don't know. Toffee sounds good. Pudding sounds good.
I Not a toffee fan though.
Okay, well that makes
Pudding
sense.
fan. Pudding fan. But
Okay.
no, I didn't have that. I think I had creme brulee at one point, but that's pretty normal.
Did you have any waffles?
Uh
That's an inside thing because Derek is a huge waffle fan.
oh yeah, Belgian waffles my favorite. I love it. I love it. I could eat one for breakfast every morning, which
You do.
essentially I do, but it's
You
Egos.
do.
Yeah.
And lunch, and sometimes a snack before dinner. I've seen it in person.
It's gotta tide me over, little waffles, nothing. So, but it's funny because I think they were having waffles, or there was waffles in our hotel, but they had like the cinnamon, and that is not my thing.
Well, yeah, it's anti-American.
Yeah, it's anti-American, and not a fan. But
So, I mean, London was cool. That sounds awesome. It's definitely a place on my list that I want to get to. I just haven't
oh
been there
man,
yet.
you have. I thought for sure you had been there.
No, I haven't. Actually, my daughter went there when she was still in school in Prague. She just took a weekend trip on her own. Got like a $25 flight and
Oh
just
my
went
god.
spent a weekend by herself. So,
Oh, it's
props to her.
amazing. It's yeah, it's an amazing. It's funny. A lot of locals don't seem to really, they all want to live on the outskirts of London. I think they kind of. I think London suffers from the same thing that LA does, just being really overpriced. So it's mainly just a tourist attraction anymore. Is what it seems. But it was a crazy place. I mean, half the time on the bus trip, they all you get the little headphones, and they tell you about the area that they're in and stuff like that. And everything was about how expensive these these apartments are, or how expensive these houses are. So I guess I could kind of see it, because a lot of the locals didn't seem too thrilled about London, but they like to live on the outskirts of
Yeah, I
London.
was gonna say I think a lot of big cities are like that, though. I mean, they become they're necessary for people to work. Probably a lot of these places,
Yeah,
but
that's where everybody works. Yeah.
if you're there and you're eating meals and you're spending money, like those aren't the places that you want to go. You want to go to these little neighborhoods off out of the way, where
Yeah.
you're getting like the real, authentic home cooked meal type stuff and decent prices because they're not attracting tourists and
Yeah.
so.
And that's where we found the best priced food was, in the little towns that surrounded it. Then it was really, I don't know, it was really nice getting to walk around those areas too, to when we were out looking for castles. Because you would just find this, quaint little town, and it'd be weird. Some of the places have like, I mean, it looked like just grass for a roof, like it's just hay or something, and go walking into it. It was really neat, and everything was just so damn old that it
They
was
were
very
they were little shires.
yeah, little tiny shires all over the place. The Shire.
How much time do
And
you get when you're working on a film like this? How much time are you getting to actually
well,
walk? It seems like you had
well, that
some
that that's
downtime.
the thing. Like when you're working, sometimes you get to see a lot. Like on this film, we were only there to do certain parts, and those parts, fortunately for us, were scattered. So, like we might work 3 days out of the week, and then and when you're working, it's like 12-hour days. So there was really no time after to go and explore. But luckily, with this shoot, it would be like 3 days on, and then you'd have 4 days off. And then all of a sudden it would be like the next 2 days you're working and then another 3 days off. So we had a lot of time to kind of explore London, and it was a lot to take in because we were trying to see as much as possible. And of course, then then you just kind of become a tourist, and it becomes the same thing as every other story. Like, oh, I saw Big Ben, and stuff like that, as opposed to being able to go off and see some other interesting things, like if you were on a vacation, having a little bit more time.
Yeah, that's
But
very cool. And the film
but
that you
then
were working on, not to interrupt you, but just my own curiosity, next year or the year after?
next year,
Okay.
it's yeah, because like the latest movie that I worked on, that I think we talked in the last podcast, was Mandalorian and Grogu, and that's out
Those
now.
just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, that just came out, and I went and saw it. It was amazing getting to see, you finally get to see all the work.
And see your name in the credits, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that because, so a lot of the times you end up working for a company and then the company's listed, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And and in
Not a
this one,
screenshot, though.
yeah, no, in this one it was actually, it had got the whole team's name up there, and that was wonderful. So that was really nice to see, and we were all really proud of working on that film. So in this next one, we didn't do as much work on it as Mandalorian and Grogu, but it's the new Starfighter is what it's called, and it comes out next year. And it's already been they've already had like advertisements for it, stuff like that, so it's not like nobody knows about it.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you what the story's about. We weren't there enough. But I think it's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
So
Starfighters are probably. I don't know anything about Star Wars. Nothing.
well, I mean, that's the name of the movie. Again, I don't know what happens in it. I don't know who these characters are. I just really enjoy working on Star Wars because I've known about it my whole life. So getting to see, because of course with any Star Wars thing, they love to do the whole fan service. So there's a lot of nostalgic things. So all of a sudden, like like a rolling robot that will go rolling by, and it's like, where am I right now? Like, it's just, and I love big sets, you know. So, and of course, Star Wars is full of them, so it's a lot of fun getting to work on it and do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how did you get involved in tennis, Mr. Sports Freak?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sports fanatic here. It was weird, since I'm mostly known for doing the camera tracking with most of the old work partners that I've had. A guy that I started working with back in 2008, his name is Bruno. He reached out to me wanting to know what kind of camera tracking system he should get and what I would suggest him getting. So I gave him that information, and it turned out he worked at the Tennis Channel. And so after he had bought the stuff, he wanted me to come down and operate it on these tennis games.
Do you think it was his plan all along?
Probably. I mean, probably. I've known Bruno a long time. He's one of the smartest people I've ever encountered. And like, he's one of those type of, he's an engineer at trade. And he's one of those guys, like, if he doesn't know how it gets set up, nobody knows. So anytime I have an issue with something, usually he's my go-to guy because he just knows all the gear and he's done everything. But I met him back when I was working at Pace, the 3D company, the Cameron Pace Group. And we worked on and off together since '08. And now I work with him again after all these years. And the weird part about being down at the Tennis Channel is I didn't realize how many people that I used to work for actually work there now, because sports is always, and of course, since tennis is one of those gigs that happens all the time, there's never a time that there's no tennis. A lot of people that end up working there get a lot of work. And it's not like the Disney thing where all of a sudden they move out to London and your time is cut in half. So a lot of the people that I used to work with back in my television days are down there. And I didn't know that until I went down there to do a demo with Bruno, and several of the guys from Cameron Pace Group that I worked with before, they're down there too. So that was it was
Cameron
really
being
nice.
James Cameron, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this 3D company. It's what they started when they did the Avatar film, the first one.
I was just name dropping that you used to work for James Cameron.
It, which he was a childhood hero of mine. So just knowing that he was my boss is like mind blowing for me. But at the tennis channel, there was a guy there. His name is Richard Lizachek, and he actually gave me my very first job in production back in 2000.
Oh wow!
And he works there. And I had
was that reality show?
What's that?
Was that reality show?
It was a bunch of reality shows. Like,
yeah.
Scare Tactics. Yeah. And yeah, I got a job over there, and I was Richard's assistant. He was the production manager. I was the assistant production manager. And he gave me my first opportunity to do anything in television. So I started learning sound and camera and lighting from this guy. And then in 2003, the company started getting smaller and smaller and dwindling, and I had left. And then from 2003 all the way up to 2025 is all of a sudden I'm reunited with Richard, who is still doing sound. And now he's and that's all he wanted to do. So that's what he does over there. And he was just like, I gave up all my contacts, because I was gonna do this because he knows he's guaranteed work. So there'll always be work.
The specialist in grunts.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you've been around tennis or watched tennis matches, when they serve and swing back and returns and stuff, man, are they loud.
Yeah, they're loud. And he's an A2, whatever that means. And so, but he does a lot of audio, and I think he was just put in charge as well of being like a stage manager over there for the shows that we hold in-house. And I just thought it was really cool that the guy that I first did television for, now we work together again, but I'm cool. No longer his assistant, but it's just really neat. And he actually met my son when my son was just a baby, and now my son works down there as well. And I haven't been down there in a while because I've been on the road. But when I go back, it's going to be neat to talk to Richard and him getting to see my son, who's now 24.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That long. And so for me, that was huge. And what was really mind blowing is seeing Richard talk to Bruno. And I met them in two completely different areas, because Bruno and I met when I started getting into film, and Richard was my television days. And seeing those two talk was really, really bizarre for me.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I don't know why, but just
seeing that thing that back in the day, like you never would have imagined. Like
no,
guy was doing this, and this guy was doing this, and those were two separate parts of my life. And
it's like
now you guys are a triad thing going on with your.
It's so weird, and it turns out Richard's been there for 17 years, where Bruno and the rest of them have been there for 5, and he was just like, because I always get work, so he always has health coverage. He knows he has work, so and that's kind of the reason why you kind of pick up on sports when the film industry is doing its up and down thing, which it's always doing, and so it's like I hope that another Star Wars movie comes along and they want us again. Because I would probably end up leaving to go and do something like that, because it's Star Wars. I have to.
Right.
You know, I have to. I love working on Star Wars. It was really bizarre. Like I was saying, just doing a Star Wars picture out while I was at Pinewood Studios. Just driving up to Pinewood was a unique experience for me, because I've heard about it my whole life, because I was a huge James Cameron fan. And then one of my favorite films was Aliens, and in the behind the scenes to Aliens, they were talking about shooting at the historic Pinewood Studios, and then finally I get to work there, and for me that was epic.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then moving things along, so then when Bruno reaches out to you, says, "What do I need?" and you're like this, and he's like, "Well, who's the best guy to run this stuff? It's probably Derek." And so he reaches out to you and says, "Oh, by the way, we're also filming a tennis match in, not just a tennis match, but a major one in Australia, which was one of your favorite places in the world.
Oh yeah, I loved it out there. I love Australia. The people, fantastic, and the country itself is an amazing country, and they're in love with parks, and I love parks. They have so many beautiful parks to walk through. But this time it was over in Melbourne, which is a lot more like a just a regular kind of city. Like the last time I stayed in Gold Coast, and the
Mm-hmm.
Gold Coast, although I was there for 8 months, I did but I was working every day, so on both occasions. But my first time there as well, like I got to explore a lot of the Gold Coast and the areas around it. And to me, it was crazy because you didn't have to go very far before you were in like, a rainforest, which is mind blowing. But in Melbourne, it was very much like kind of being in a regular metropolitan city. I just really enjoyed the people, you know. I even like the way that they talk and stuff like this. It's just a lot of fun being around it.
Melbourne, if all goes as planned, I believe that is where my daughter and her boyfriend are moving to later this year. So that I may very
Yeah.
well be in Melbourne next year.
No, and you should definitely go anyway. Melbourne's a fantastic little city. They got really good food. I ate at a place called Route 66. It's kind of a funny story. It was right
Sounds
outside of
funny.
our hotel. It's called Route 66, and it's ran by these Indian folk, right? These
Is
this
it? I
love
mean,
this
because we have Route 66 here is a famous route in the
yeah
United States.
yeah that I've driven.
Is it named
And
after that or
yes,
purely?
yeah, their logo is the Route 66 sign. But
Okay,
it's a burger joint and it had the best burger. And I'm a big burger person. I eat burgers all the time. And this one, it was fantastic. And it's made by, like I said, this Indian couple. It's like a family owned thing. And so finally, I had dinner there for my sixth time. They started just knowing, like, oh, you want this burger, because if I like food, I'll just go to the same place all the time because I just eat and run, because I just want to walk. And so as I was paying, I was just like, I asked, why Route 66? And she goes, oh, because it's a very famous American highway. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm from there. And she was like, oh, and I was like, why did you name it that? And she goes, because Americans recognize it. And with the tourists that come and see AO, they'll stop by here because it's a place it's a name they recognize. And I was like, have you ever been there? Have you ever traveled it? She goes, no, none of them have. They just picked a spot out of the US that was famous and went, that's the name of our restaurant.
nice.
And
Hey, it works.
yeah, if it works, and it did, it was a great restaurant. It was recommended. So that's where I ate all the time. And then they asked me what happened to Route 66. And I was like, well, it was essentially an old highway with a bunch of businesses that lined up and down it. And then once they opened up the freeways, a lot of those businesses kind of went under now that all the cities were kind of interconnected. And I said, have you ever seen Pixar's movie Cars? She said, yes. And I was like, that's what happened. If you watch that movie and see the underlining story, that's actually what happened to Route 66. And I said, it's a tragedy because I've driven up and down it. It's beautiful. And she was like, you've been there? I was like, yes. I'm from America. I've been on Route 66.
Did she ask you
And
to sign a menu then, or what? Like this?
no, it was just funny, like the wonderment of this place that it's because to them it was just the name. And so obviously they've heard the name over and over, and they knew it was a historic landmark, but they didn't seem to know much about it except American tourists would probably go to a restaurant named something American. That
That's crazy.
and I thought that was really funny, and those are the things that I kind of like. But one thing I like about Australia, we tried all kinds of stuff. Like I even went to a sushi restaurant because Ben eats sushi. I don't. But we went there and it was just really nice atmosphere. And he got, apparently, I'm not a sushi guy, but He said it was really good sushi and the cost was like half of where you could get it anywhere else. And it was probably the best that he's had.
Yeah.
So it
Love
was,
sushi.
yeah. So it was really interesting getting to walk around that place. But all the people were just a delight, and the areas again, it's just a metropolitan area. It was very much like being in a clean LA, or New York sort of thing with
And I imagine,
with super high buildings.
yeah, okay. And I imagine with something like this, I don't know how long you were there for. I guess it depends on how long the tournament lasted. But
It was a little over 3 weeks.
so when they're not playing, you're not working.
When they're not playing, usually, yes, I'd be working, but I worked every single day I was there. Just like this last thing, when I went from Madrid to Rome to France, I had 0 days off.
Oh, so you just had like hours off where you could do something.
Yeah, I was averaging 30,000 steps in like 4 hours.
Jeez,
So,
man.
yeah, I just started.
I mean, you also
started.
have little legs, but
Yeah, I got tiny legs, so that was like 1 mile and back. It took me that long, just like a millipede, Yeah, but it was. I got to see a lot, but again, it always felt like, and especially big tourist areas, you always feel rushed because there's lines everywhere, and I think that's kind of the downfall of certain things. It's just it's like, oh, I want to go see that, and then you see the line, and it's like you got to make a whole day of it to go see that one thing.
yeah, it's one of my least favorite things about theme parks is like when you go to
Yeah,
a major theme park on a busy day, you get to like 4 rides, but that's your entire day. Like
yeah.
you see an hour and a half wait at whatever the ride is, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is a great way to kill $300.
No, yeah. And then you end up just sitting there and waiting. And then finally, when you get to the ride, it's like, and you're done.
It's, yeah, 66 seconds
You're like,
long.
another really
For
cool
about
place,
66, but
and another really cool thing back to London was the British Museum. It's free. So that was awesome. And the line was, I mean, it was nothing. It was packed inside. But getting to go and see all of like the Rosetta Stone and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't cost me anything, which was crazy because every other
the question
place
is, how many languages do you know now? But that's kind of a stupid question.
all of them. I took a picture of the Rosetta Stone. Now I know all of them. But yeah, the British Museum was an amazing place to go see. Yeah, I'm trying to think of more unique stories, but really it was a lot of this stuff is going to be more the general touristy kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because
well, especially when you already landed on time. But you had
Yeah.
never been to. Well, first of all, you'd never been to Melbourne, but you'd been to Australia. But the other places that you went in France and in Spain, you had never been to either of those, correct?
No, I haven't been to and
And
the
Rome.
next three yeah, I've never been to Rome. I've never been to Spain. I've never been to France.
Thoughts?
So they were good.
I obviously I didn't go to watch tennis in Rome, but I loved Rome. I don't know how much you got to see of
Oh,
Rome, but
I got to see so much of Rome because we did a split shift on that one, so I would get out early. So Ben would go in and do the late shift, so he would explore in the morning. And Rome, I really got to see because that was the place I was really looking forward to. But first, I was at Spain. I was in Spain, in Madrid, and Madrid turned out to I didn't know anything of it. I just knew I was going there. But like Rome has such crazy history that I've learned about forever that I really was excited to see that. But first I ended up in Madrid and I was like, I don't know what's there. So I just kind of wanted to walk the city, and what a beautiful city that was. The cool cobblestone style roads as you're walking in the alleyways, because every place seems like an alleyway because it's all those interlocking buildings that just go on forever. It's almost like the same architect that designed every old city kind of just moved around and built cities everywhere because they're all designed pretty similar. It was hard to tell the difference sometimes from certain small parts of France from Madrid. because they all had that same look where it's just wall to wall building, just lining the streets. So when you took a picture down the road, it was just as far as the eye could see buildings on both sides. It's not like out in certain states or whatever that it's like there would be a building and then a massive amount of space and then another building or something like that. It was just wall to wall. So it was very interesting, but clean, very nice. The people were great. I had some Lebanese street food, which I never had before, or maybe I did, but maybe it was called something else. But there was a place called Z and Company that was there, and it was Lebanese street food, is how they described it, and it was essentially just wraps, and so good. I can't recommend that place enough. It was so good.
I've never been to Spain, so Spain and France are both on my lists.
Spain it turned out was just a gorgeous town, but yeah, it kind of, since it's right in the middle of all of that history, to me it just seemed to be a little almost like forgotten, in comparison to a place like Rome, because we get movies like Gladiator, and everyone's like, Rome, awesome. And but Madrid was, it's very old. Like all the places there are very old, just like they are over in England. It just seems to always get, I don't know, like when people talk about the old places that they want to go see that have a lot of history, they talk about places like London or Rome or France and stuff like that. But Madrid is on the same level. Like we went and saw the emperor's, whatever you would call his castle or whatever, and it was the Royal Palace is what it was called, the Royal Palace. And it's massive and it's gorgeous. It was so much real estate that you're kind of looking at it like, who does anything in there? Like, it's so big. There's no way you've seen all of it. You could spend a year in there and not see every room. It's just these huge places, and they're beautiful. And it had a really nice garden outside that you could walk through, like the whole maze bushes and stuff like that. It was lovely. So it was a really cool look, but I just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, the only I think like working castle that I've been in, if you want to call it a castle, like you saw, it was a palace, and maybe that's what this is considered now. But when we were in Regensburg, Germany, and they had a massive, they called it a castle. I feel like it was more of a palace, but in any event, it was absolutely huge. And it's like you said, it's like bigger than any hotel I've ever seen. And so it's like, how is this for one family?
Yeah, no, these places are so big. Like Holiday Inn wishes they could have a hotel that size. It's just massive. Like these places are, I couldn't, like I love to walk, and I could walk around the perimeter and it would take me more than an hour to walk.
Imagine the poor cleaning
around it. Yeah, it's only one dude losing his mind. No, it's, and the place has a parking lot for staff. It's just, and it's huge. I mean, it's bigger than malls out here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I live near the Glendale Galleria, and by near it, I mean a 20-minute drive. But the Galleria is huge, and you're inside of it walking around. It's just this massive structure. And it doesn't hold a candle to the parking area of this place. And
that's insane.
Like it's just insane how much. And then so when I got back to my hotel room, again, I don't know anything about Madrid, so I looked up that palace, and there was all kinds of history about it, like the kings and stuff that lived there, how long ago they restored this portion, or there was some massive fire, and all these really cool stories. I just didn't know anything about it. And so it was really kind of interesting getting to see all this stuff of a place I'd never even thought to look.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's pretty awesome.
So it was really interesting getting to see that. And
I feel like I've heard some really good stories about Madrid. I think a lot of people, when they think of Spain, think of Barcelona, but
Yeah.
I have definitely heard some really good things about Madrid as well. So
No, it's a beautiful city. If someone gets to go there, or if anybody gets to go there, like it it really is like you really got to walk around, see the food. What I loved is the relaxed sort of setting that they're in. Like the restaurants don't even open until 8, you
yeah,
know,
that's
and
the
they're
crazy
just
thing about
off.
Europe.
Yeah, it's so
People eat
weird.
dinner at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, like I went up to this one place because apparently they had really good food there. So me and the gang were all going up there to have some food, and we didn't end up getting it until 10 p.m. And they're like, "Yeah, well, it's dinner time," and I was like, "10? It's 10. It's bedtime for some of us." And I was like, "Jesus!" And they'd only opened 2 hours before that, and because a lot of people over there obviously speak in Spanish, but they spoke a lot of broken English. But I ended up in that restaurant because I heard it was really good, but it was before 8, so I went and I was asking if I could get food, and I don't speak a lick of Spanish, and I don't even try. So I was just like, "Can I get food?" And the guy was like, "Oh, kitchen closed," and I was like, "Really? Like already?" And he was like, "Yeah, the kitchen's closed. Sorry." And I
I
was
thought it was
like,
closed for the night. They hadn't
"Yes."
opened
And
yet.
they hadn't opened yet. It was 8, and it turns out they opened the kitchen at 8:15. And he kept telling me 15 minutes. And I was like, "I missed it by 15 minutes?" And I was like, "The girl's probably still hot, right? Can I get anything?" And the guy was just like, "No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The grill is closed for 15." And I was like, "Okay." So I left. And I went back to my Z and Company because that place was open all day, and I had a wrap there. And then it turns out when me and the guys went back up there, I was like, "Well, I think it's closed," and they're like, "No, no, it doesn't open until 8:30. You were there at 8:15. They weren't open yet." So I was like, "Oh, damn." So I actually ended up missing out on eating there for the first time because I didn't know that's when they opened.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun, and did some walking around a lot at different parks. I love when a place does a good park. That place has a really nice park that overlooks the palace, and and then it's got some. I don't know what it was. It was some kind of very old monument to something, but it's in ruins. Right in the middle of it was very cool. But a lot of big parks around there, and what's really nice about it, they had really big walkways, so people on bicycles weren't hitting it. Like pedestrians weren't getting in their way because there was plenty of room for everyone to walk. It was just a really nice, well put together city. So I highly recommend Spain. I didn't realize that was as little as I knew about it when it was over. It was one of my more favorite places, look
That's
wise, and it was just nice and clean, and the people were delightful. It was really nice.
in the interest of time, as we're over an hour, we are not doing a double episode again, Derek.
Yeah.
Let's. Is there anything from?
There's a lot of this you can cut out.
No, not at all. What from France stood out to you before we move on to the highlight, which one of the highlights, which is Rome, I think, for you.
France? Well, I mean, obviously I did all the regular tourist crap. I went to the Eiffel Tower, which by the way, if you've never been, holy hell, that is an amazing sight to see. It's just in the middle of nothing. It's just like, I mean, it's downtown, but the buildings aren't all that big. And then there's just the Eiffel Tower, which is the size of the Empire State Building. But when you see it kind of standing not amongst all those other buildings, geez, what a sight. And the fact that they built it just to tear it down a year later, that was the idea. I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
built it for some like a World's Fair or an exposition or
yeah,
something.
that was it, a World's Fair. They built it for a World's Fair, and then they were going to take it down. And my only thought was, where are you going to put it? It's huge. Like, where do you put all this stuff? And I guess melt it down, make something different. But of course, it was so beautiful, they kept it. And then, of course, did the lights. So I had to stay for the light show, which, by the way, if you're over in France in the summertime, it never gets dark. The sun didn't seem, magic hours seemed to last for 3 or 4 hours. It just went on and on. So finally the lights came on and it was beautiful. The only thing I missed out on doing was going up because I didn't know where we would be while we were doing this show in Roland Garros. The show in France is actually on the opposite side of Paris. And around Roland Garros, there is nothing to do. There's a lot. It's a nice little town around it, but there wasn't like all the touristy stuff that everybody wants to see, like the catacombs or the Eiffel Tower, all this kind of stuff. You have to take a train ride. So I got to know their train system pretty well and go in there, but we could only do it at the time that we had because that was not a split shift. So I didn't get to see as much of France as I'd have liked. But the last day we got out early, and I went and just did a massive tour of, just walked all over the place in that side of France, but by the Eiffel Tower. And we went over and saw the Louvre. We didn't go into it because the line was out the door and we only have so much time. So, but the building of the Louvre was unbelievable. Like, so it's massive, as anybody would expect. But I mean, it was the type of massive where you're walking by it for a very long time and you don't even know it's the Louvre. And then about a good half hour into your walk, you're like, what is this building? It's gorgeous. And it's like, oh, all of this that we've been walking by is the Louvre. It's huge, just a massive museum, which I can't wait to go into. And so now I know to plan better next year and get my tickets way in advance. Because again, it's super touristy over there. Like the Eiffel Tower gets more visitors than the Statue of Liberty. It's one of the most viewed places in the world, the Eiffel Tower. And I wanted to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, but again, the line is so long and we just don't have the time. So I'd have to make arrangements. So seeing all of that stuff was very cool. But the one thing that really got me, and this just reminded me of actually us when we lived next to each other. There was this jib operator. His name is Cammy. Everybody in broadcast knows this guy. So he's a French guy, and he does a lot of the local work there. And he invited us to his house to meet his family and have and have a cookout in the backyard. And something about it, like when I got over there, everybody was having a good time. He invited quite a few people. And so everybody was like in their own groups, chatting, talking, cooking on a barbecue, just doing, just regular things. And for some reason, all of a sudden, it just shot me back to when, like, me, you, and the rest of the gang would hang out and have a cookout in the backyard.
Yeah.
At someone's house. And so I ended up sitting back, and someone came over to me and was just like, "Oh, sitting all alone, antisocial," one of those types.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "No, I'm just taking stock." I said, "I'm really just kind of taking it in. Like, I never would have thought that I would be friends and get to meet like a French guy and his family and be invited into their home and have a cookout in the backyard with all these people from all over the world, because they weren't all from like LA. These people come from all over the place to work on these shows. And like I said, everybody knows Cammy. So there was quite a few people there, and not all of them are from the same spot. And we're just sitting there cooking steaks and burgers out in the back with, and chicken and all this kind of stuff. And something about it just reminded me of when we all used to hang out. And suddenly I was just like, how weird that I used to do this stuff back in the day with you. And there was something just surreal about it. It was just, instead I'm doing it in France with this man's family, and we're all becoming friends. And it was, I don't know, something unique about it. And I just had to kind of sit back. What's that?
Nostalgic.
Yeah, it was very nostalgic and strange, because it was, like a lot of these places that I go, most of the time I end up by myself and I walk around and I see the sights, or I end up going out with like a good friend of mine to somewhere, and it's just like me and that person hanging out, and then when we just went over to this person's house, it's like I just never would have thought in the younger years when we were in someone's backyard, like your backyard, having a cookout with your family, that I'd be doing the same thing, but it's with a new friend of mine in France.
That's pretty cool, man.
I just never thought that would be a thing. So yeah, I just told the person like I'm just taking stock of how neat this is, and just like getting to meet a person from here, and I get to meet his kids, and it's just like the rest of us, sort of thing. We're all just having a cookout and enjoying each other's company and stuff like that. It was, I don't know, it was neat. It was weird.
Life is cool, man.
I really liked it.
Yeah, life is cool.
Yeah, it really is. And it's just like, everyone's just kind of like the rest of us. All we want to do is hang out, and our friends, like a comfort spot, and chat. And there was
Yeah.
something unique about that. And I just couldn't believe that I was doing that it, in France, out
It
of
is
all
pretty neat
places.
because you think about things like growing up in the States, and like you said, like people do that all the time here. That's just something we do, in the
Yeah.
warm weather months or whatever. Have some friends over, some family over, have a cookout, whatever. You don't think that that's a thing everywhere. You think maybe that's an American thing.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
that's how I was thinking about it, is like, I don't know, like French people do whatever French people do. And so it's like whatever their thing is, because everyone talks about fancy restaurants and stuff like that. Oh, France is known for its food. And it is, don't get me wrong. But this moment though was just family and friends hanging out, and I was just delighted to be a part. And
yeah.
it was really nice to
You think
see.
like stereotypically, I guess maybe, and it's not the right thing to do or the right mindset, but you think, oh, if people are coming over to have dinners and stuff together and gatherings or whatever, they're eating escargot and frog legs or like whatever it is that they
Yeah.
have, and that's they're not grilling steaks and burgers. That's what we
Yeah.
eat. So
It
that's
was
awesome.
funny. He had a grill just like, just like the one I would buy at home. And he was messing it up just the way I would at home, just putting way too much lighter fluid on it. It's just burning everything. It was amazing.
That's very
It
cool.
was really fun getting to do that.
I really do want to get to Rome unless there's anything else in France that you want to talk about.
No, France was great. But no, Rome was that was the place. That was the place I was really looking forward to seeing.
And I was only there for, I think we were only there for a couple of nights. I've told this story before, not a story, but I've told this before. One of my biggest regrets is that we stayed literally a block and a half from the Coliseum. Like we could actually, on the veranda on the rooftop of the place that we stayed, you could see the Coliseum, and we took selfies of, the Coliseum was right behind us, and we never went inside. So that was one of my biggest regrets. I don't know that you got to go inside, but
I didn't.
we definitely did get our share of walking in, and I fell in love with Rome, like I think a lot of people do. It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, all roads.
So walkable.
Oh yeah, it's very walkable, but it is packed. There's times on the outskirts, not where the Coliseum is, but on the outskirts of it, where all the shopping centers are and stuff like that, packed, which made it difficult to walk. But I really enjoyed walking around Rome myself. And most of that I did all by myself, which was a little heartbreaking at the same time, because it's, you're kind of looking around, and then you start looking at strangers like, are you seeing this? Like,
Yeah, right.
it's unbelievable. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I live here. I see it every day.
Yeah, he's like, I live here. I see it every damn day. And I was just like, oh, sorry, it's just, I can't believe that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I didn't know man could make such things. But when I first landed in Rome, we landed in the early afternoon. By the time we made it to the hotel, it was an hour walk to see the Colosseum. So all I did is I went upstairs and I threw down my luggage, and I asked the lady at the front desk, "Where's the Colosseum?" And she was like, "Oh, it's a walk. You could take our transit." I was like, "No, I want to walk. I want to see it. I want to see the whole way to it." And so she gave me one of those maps that shows all the cool destinations. And so I saw where it was, and I looked it up on the phone, and I just started walking. And even some of the managers for the tennis channel came in and were like, "Hey, we need to go over and see about your credentials." And I was like, "Not today. I'm going to the Coliseum or the Coliseum. I'll see ya." And I just walked by and just started walking. and ended up there about an hour and a half later. And got just the walk down there was unbelievable. I got to see the two churches that at one point were like dueling for who's best at churching. And you just walk down this big straightaway, and then all of a sudden you can start to see the Coliseum come over the horizon there as you're walking down the street. And to me, that was surreal getting to see that. I wasn't only obviously not like yourself, where it was only a block away, but the walk there though was, man, it's
Once you
hard to
see it in
describe.
person, it's just like
It's crazy.
because
It's
it's
crazy.
seeing pictures of it or seeing something in a movie or a video or something. It does not do it justice. It's not the same.
No,
Standing near the Coliseum and you feel so small. It's
God,
it's
it's
so
so big, and I can't
beautiful.
even imagine with how old it is, what it was like. All I could think of is I really wish I could
Yes,
have seen this place in its heyday, because I was
yes,
like, what did those
absolutely.
people think? Like farmers and such that would, be brought into Rome and see a place like the Colosseum. It really is like that part in Gladiator where the guy says, I didn't know man could make such things. And I'm walking up to it now, seeing all the crap we've built and still going, how did they do it? It's huge, as you get up to it, and it's just gorgeous. It was just an epic sight. And I didn't get to go inside of it, but I walked up, I was looking inside of it. Ben got to go inside of it because his family came out, and he was like, there's nothing like it. It's amazing. And I didn't have the time to sit in the lines. So again, it was a very, uh, on my part, a piss poor plan. But all I wanted to do for my first time there is I just wanted to walk around and see it. So I walked around, saw all the ruins, and I just couldn't believe it was so much that I could barely take my nose out of the phone because I was taking so many damn pictures. And
Did
I had
you
to put my phone away just so I could walk around and look at it with my own eyes.
did you do any walking at night there?
Yes, it's
Because I think
gorgeous.
that was some of my favorite times in Rome was
Yeah.
walking at night.
Oh yeah. No, it's that place. Like I even went to see the Pantheon where Raphael is buried. I had to see all of. I wanted to see something related to each one of the turtles.
Nice.
So I went to the Pantheon to see where Raphael was buried. He was my favorite turtle, the teenage mutant kind, and seeing that was epic. I don't know if you got to see the Pantheon building when you were there. The
Yes.
It's tomb. You saw that?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think? Do you like it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Every
What
every
what a
every
structure.
bit of Rome was every bit of Rome lived up to everything that I thought it could be and more, except for the food. And I've mentioned this before on the pod too, because we went in mid-August when all of the
You didn't like the
families were on
food?
vacation. So all of like the local restaurants that were not like some sort of a chain or something, they were all closed. So my first
Right.
experience of food in Italy was terrible, but it made up for it the second time around when I went back.
Yeah. I was gonna say I enjoyed the food out there. I didn't try a lot of the food, but the food that I did have there I thought was really good. Like had to go out and get pizza. Thought that was really good. So, but anyway, did you go to the Vatican?
Yes, we did a tour of the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica. We went to the top of the basilica, actually. If you go to my
Yeah.
website, ybpodcast.com, and go to the merch page, there are actually some prints that I've made. I'm actually looking at one of a photo that I took from the top of the basilica. Beautiful.
I went and saw the Vatican. Went and saw the Michelangelo painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Did a whole tour, and that was like an overload of art in the
Can I ask you a
Vatican.
question about that?
Yeah.
So when we were there, it was very crowded, and
Oh yeah.
we paid a little bit extra. We did a little bit of a tour, so we got to go in a separate entrance and we got to skip the line. But that being said, when you're in that room where that Michelangelo's painting is, you're supposed to be silent, and you're not supposed to take photos.
Yes.
And there was even somebody in the room shouting to stop talking and stop taking photos.
Which seems
And
anti-silence, doesn't it?
half the people in that room were talking and taking. Well, maybe you don't have to be silent, but you're not supposed to take photos. And
Oh no,
people were
they had a
taking
guy that come over and tell us to put our phones in our pockets.
and they were trying when we were again. This was 10 years ago. but the amount of people that were being completely disrespectful and just taking photos, like blatantly, not even
Yeah.
trying to hide it. And I just kept, and then we went into like the catacombs and or whatever, and there you're supposed to be absolutely silent and like you and respectful and reverent. And the amount of people talking and just being completely disrespectful. That was one of my biggest turnoffs, but the experience itself was absolutely incredible.
Was You know what was very strange about being at all these places? And this goes for every place that I was at that was old, ancient, in Rome, Madrid, didn't matter. It seemed to happen a lot in Madrid as well, even at the Royal Palace. These old statues from like 1200, stuff like 1200 years old, stuff like that. It was just really funny to see so many people taking selfies of themselves doing the duck face with the peace sign
Yeah.
with the statue behind them or like the Pantheon behind them. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like
To each their
content
own,
creators.
but like, come on.
Yeah. I was like, you're not even looking at it. You're looking at they would just stare at their phone. And, and not like me that was trying to take photos. They're staring at their phone, like looking down towards the ground and walking after they took a selfie. And then, talking about how they were there just to their social media platform. And something about that was just, I mean, it was almost irritating. Like you're not actually taking in the spectacle. It's just like, they're outside of the Coliseum and they would take a quick picture with a peace sign up. And then they were right back in their phone typing how they're there. And then they'd just walk away.
Yeah, it's
And I was like,
it was like the cool factor or the whatever I
yeah,
can get likes and views instead of
yeah.
actually
Instead of just
absorbing
looking
it
at it, yeah,
and the magnificence of where you are. I mean, maybe you've been,
yeah.
maybe they've, who knows? I don't want to judge. Maybe they've been there 1,000 times and this isn't their first rodeo, and so maybe
It
that's,
could be.
but
Could be, but it
highly
was weird.
unlikely.
There was a lot of people that were doing that in the Vatican, and it was just super weird. And but the Vatican, like, oh my God, I can't even describe that place. It's its own city, and it's like we went into the St. Peter's building thing that's there with all the
Basilica.
crazy sculptures. Yeah, the Basilica. Or like it's just like I can't say 3 stories. It's obviously taller than that. It's huge. But like 3 tiers of giant marble sculptures that were unbelievably detailed. It was like something I've just never witnessed anything like that with how much of the sculptures around there. It's hard to put into words. It's something you just got to see for yourself.
Yeah, without question. And like when you get up to the top and you can see the walls that go
Yeah.
around the city of the Vatican City,
Oh my God.
it's really cool.
Isn't that so cool? It was just the pillars. Like I just wish I could take one of those pillars just to give myself some perspective because everything is so big there, just to like pull it into my neighborhood and just sit it on like my front, the street out front, just to go, holy crap, how big that thing is.
Hmm.
Because I swear the entrance for the Vatican is the size of Burbank. It's just huge.
Yeah,
It's so huge that it's like when you come up to it, you're like, no,
I'm
there's no
guessing.
way.
I'm guessing you didn't get to go to the top of the basilica.
I did not.
It's it's challenging. We'll say that. And I'm not in good shape, and I was probably in worse shape back then, actually. But you can take an elevator partway up, I believe, if I recall correctly.
Yes, we can.
But then once you get to that point, you don't have a choice. It's like 1,000 steps. I may be over exaggerating a tiny bit, but it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's hundreds of steps. And as
Oh
you get
my.
closer and closer to the top, it's angled. So
Yeah.
every step you're taking, you're curved. Your body is curved just to get up there.
Yeah.
And especially when we went middle of the day, I mean, hundreds of people are in line to do this. You can't slow down. You can't just stop. Nobody can go around you.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared for that. If anyone, we don't do tips, but I'm telling you, here's a tip. If you commit yourself to doing that, you better be prepared. it's,
Yeah.
it's a lot of steps and it's very awkward,
Yeah. But
but it's so worth it.
it is. Yeah. Everything at the Vatican was worth seeing. I really enjoyed seeing some of like the hallway of artwork where it's 150-meter hallway, and there's not 1 inch of space that isn't a piece of art hanging on the wall.
Yeah, is that
And
also has the tapestries and stuff, correct?
yeah, the tapestries
Oh
and
my
all that
gosh, they're
stuff that
huge, some
Raphael
of them.
painted. Yeah, they're huge. And one of them is like Jesus looking at you, and his body follows you as you walk past
Yes,
it.
I
It's like, how the
remember
heck did they
that.
paint that?
And the ceiling
And
is so ornate.
yeah. And it's weird if you get when you're looking at one side down, it looks like it goes downhill, and then you finally get to the other side and you look back and it looks like it's going downhill. It's so bizarre. Like I don't know, it was a surreal time, but I walked so much in Rome. I just could not get enough of that place because every corner I would turn, it would be something, whether it be a giant fountain or the really high stairways that go up and you get a great view of Italy, and then there was a park out behind our hotel that I went up, and it was essentially a mountain which has a 360-degree view of all of Rome, and you could actually see the Colosseum from there, although it was tiny, because our hotel was an hour walk away, but you could still see it from the top of this mountain.
That's so
It
crazy.
was, it was such a, I cannot express in words what that place is like. It's just, well, it was just such a hell of an experience.
Listen, and I'll tell you what, like I've been to Italy twice. I've not been to that many places though. I've been to Rome, I've been to Bologna, Milan, and Venice, and a quick trip to Naples. Naples, okay, it's its own animal. It has its own charm and beauty. It's a little dirty of a place compared to some of the others, but again,
Sure.
it still has its own charm and its own really like we still saw some cool churches and whatever. And but all every place I've been in Italy is just absolutely so incredibly beautiful. And we're probably seeing the touristy places anyways, but
Yeah.
I can't say, and of all of the countries in the world that I've been, I think that's probably the one that I will probably go back to a number of times because there's so many other places I want to see. But I have to get back to Rome. I have to go back to Venice.
Oh yeah.
You have to get to Venice. It's
I would
just,
love to go to Venice. And
geez,
there's a lot of places in Italy that I want to see. I wish I had more time, but can we do the 5 questions?
yeah. Let's do the final five questions. So, and we'll be pretty quick with you. Well, I'll be as quick as you want to be with the answers.
Sure. Yeah.
You did this obviously before. You don't remember the questions, and you may have the same answers as before, and maybe you don't. And some of the questions I've tweaked a little bit. So, question number one. First of all, thank you for the time. I appreciate you very much. Question number one is: of all of the places in the world that you have ever been, where has been your favorite meal experience? And you're not a foodie, I get that, but your favorite meal experience, and what was it?
France backyard of Cammy's.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I get it.
It
We
was
just
it was so that was it was so interesting being there and just being around just friends from different countries. So
yeah.
that it made it more of a delight, and the food was great. He did a really
I
good
was going to
job.
ask you how you did with the charcoal.
Oh, he did good. He did good. Yeah, he knows how to cook. So
Burgers weren't quite as good as the other place, but
yeah, the
okay.
burgers were definitely good over there in Australia. That one place at Route 66, but
Yeah.
it was the full on experience of being in Cammy's backyard, and just having the company of newly found friends that made it even better.
Awesome. I love the answer. So question number 2 is of all the places in the world that you have ever been, even if I told you, here you go, Derek, here's a free trip, or I'll pay you to go there for work, and you would say, no, thank you, I don't want to go back there.
Where would that be?
Yes.
I think it's the same as my first answer, which was I think Mexico.
Yeah. And if people didn't listen to the first episode, go back and listen, but it had to do with, you were seeing places that were glamorized and beautiful and whatever, but to
Yeah,
get there,
and
you're
then
going through poverty after
yeah,
poverty.
and that was heartbreaking. The poverty, and then all of a sudden you'd come onto this place that has tourist money, and it just felt so insider trading, you know. Like, we're profiting, screw everyone else. And I
Yeah.
didn't like that.
Yeah, I've definitely been to places like that too, and it is heartbreaking to see people struggling to live day to day when other people are enjoying $1,000
Oh my
meals.
God. Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah. Question number 3, moving right along, is of all the places in the world that you have been, and I added a caveat to this now. If you could only get to one or two of those places again in your lifetime for some reason, whether life is short, the world is ending, I don't know. But you could only go back to one or two places that you've been. What are those one or two places that you absolutely have to go back to?
I have to go back to Rome. Um, I just there's too much to take in. I gotta see more.
Okay.
Yeah, like for me that was unbelievable. And even though I did a ton of exploring down there, I don't feel like I got to see 25% of it.
Yeah. I mean, you could
Yeah,
spend days and days and probably just
yeah,
scratch the
exactly.
surface.
It's like I didn't see the catacombs, and God, I wanted to. And I just got to plan better and get tickets early because it's the lines. It's like being at Disneyland. You're just waiting forever, and I just don't have the time.
Yeah. And if it's something you really want to see like that and you can pay a little bit extra for a tour or something like that, a lot
Yeah,
of times
that's
you
where I get
get,
to the Vatican.
yep, a lot of times you get either instant access or separate entrance, which is much faster, and you skip everything. And
Yeah,
so
skip the line.
just just a little tip there, just pay a little extra and find someone that'll bring you
Yeah.
in so you can do that. So
And unfortunately for me, I was working a lot of the times that like the catacombs would close at a certain hour, and I was always out after that hour. So I just
yeah,
never had the opportunity. So I'd have to switch with someone so I can go in during the day.
yeah, that makes
So
sense.
yeah.
All right, question number 4 is of all the places in the world that you have never been, again, same caveat, you've only got one or two trips left in your lifetime for some reason. What are the one or two places left that you've never been to that you absolutely want to get to or must get to?
I want to see Switzerland, and I'd really like to see Sweden.
Why?
I think they got some of the prettiest landscapes. Maybe a place like the Switzerland or Austria or something like that. Something with I really like the outdoors more than I like a big city. And seeing those kind of mountainscapes and stuff like that, I mean, that's right up my alley.
Okay.
I'd really like to see something like that before I die.
Yeah, never been to Switzerland. I've spent a very limited amount of time in Austria. What I saw of Austria was beautiful, but it was not, rugged landscape. It was more city. I was
Yeah.
Vienna, and so but it was absolutely gorgeous. It was also Christmas market time, which makes it even more gorgeous. But that's
Oh yeah.
neither here nor there. But
That's when I was in London was right around Christmas, and it was beautiful.
did they have
Ooh,
Christmas
my
markets set up?
God. They had Christmas markets set up. They'd decorate a whole street. It was unbelievable.
The Christmas markets. If you've never been to Europe to see a Christmas market, anywhere, go anywhere in Europe, anywhere from like mid to late November through Christmas. Oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. And you don't
All right.
drink alcohol, but
Nope.
but the hot the hot wines that they have, the mulled wines. Oh man, some of them are really good. Anyway, the final question, question 5. You will know the answer or you don't know the answer, but it is as it was before. Where are you going? What is on your docket? What is planned if you have anything?
What's planned is possibly in September. I'm going back to England for another tennis event. And so, yeah, England. And then I'll probably
Jolly
be
old
back
England.
to jolly old England. I can't wait. I love that place. So I'm
Is
really
it also
hoping
in
that
London?
it's what? Huh? Yes. Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. London or Wimbledon. It's the Wimbledon event. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, Wimbledon is actually going on in the next 2 weeks. I'm sorry, it's not the Wimbledon tennis tournament. It's a different tournament, but it happens over in London, and it's a real short amount of time. It's like a week or two. So,
Yeah, but still a good
but
time.
I'd like to visit it again, and then after that, it's probably going to be back out to Australia, unless another Star Wars movie happens, and then it'll be back to jolly old England again.
Nice, dude. Well, man, listen, we kind of put this together on short notice because you just got back, but I appreciate you, especially again, just getting back. I know what it's like to come back from overseas and kind of have to get your stuff together again and kind of recenter yourself and get back on West Coast time for you. So I just appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to just kind of wrap with for our listener? Say listener, because we might have one.
It's just one person. All I can say is get out there and start seeing some of this stuff if you haven't already. Don't really know what else to say.
I mean, that's good enough.
Yeah, if you can do it through work, you're very lucky as well. Yeah, even better. Makes it even better when you don't have to look forward to a bill coming in.
Yeah, when the flights are free and they're paying for you to be there and stipends
and then
food and
you get per diem on top of it, so it's food money of several, over $100 a day. You're gonna want that.
That's the way to go.
That's the way to go if you're gonna do it.
People reach out to Derek through whatever socials he mentioned earlier on, and see if you can get a job where he works.
Yeah, and I got Instagram and Facebook. Of course, I have Facebook. I'm over 40, so feel free, reach out.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic night. Say hi to your wife. Tell your son I said hello as well, and we will talk soon. And there's another episode of the Where Have You Been podcast in the books. Thank you so much for listening today. It was another great guest with some great stories, as always, and I hope that you will support all of the guests by checking out the show notes and going to their web pages, seeing any socials and projects that they may have going on. And please, again, I'll ask as always to like, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It really does help to allow the podcast to grow and reach more people, and I appreciate you for doing that. Also, if you haven't done so, check out the website, whyvpodcast.com, where you can find blog posts. If you'd like to be a guest, please register to be a guest on the site, and check out the merch page. There's some really cool stuff if you're interested in representing the pod, along with some other cool travel items and apparel that I'm working on every day as well. Join me again next week for another great guest with more incredible stories. New episodes drop every Sunday just after midnight Eastern Time. Until then, thank you for being here, and have a great day.